All right, Higher Calling Podcast, episode 11. Today I have Ellen Burford from Kentwood, Louisiana. She's with the Moving Mountains organizations, fostering and bringing change in Washington and Tangipahoa Parish areas, trying to inspire and inform people about the needs for the proper foster parents in communities around the area. What's up, Ellen? How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. How are
All right,
you?
I'm good. Long time no see. It's good to see you.
I know. My kids were like, "Who are you doing this with?" I'm like, "We're with Chad," and they're like, "Oh
Ah,
yeah, I can't forget you. Who can forget you?"
thank you. I appreciate it. Y'all's the same. Yep. I miss y'all guys so much. Y'all got a great family and some new additions too.
That's right.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
Okay, so I'm Ellen. I started a foster support ministry back in 2018. We became certified foster parents in 2016, and we live in a very rural area. There's nothing out here. So if we would get a kiddo in our home, they would get to our house, and I would open a suitcase, and there would either be nothing in it, literally, or clothes that don't fit, or clothes that just would not be appropriate to wear the next day, that kind of thing. So I would get the kids to bed, and then I would drive to Walmart in a need 30 minutes away in the middle of the night to get clothes, and this child would have clothes the next day. And it just kept happening like that. And because we live so far out, there's nothing out here to support
Right.
foster parents. And so I was a teacher at the time, and God just really kept pressing on my heart, this need for a support ministry out here. And so, I'm like, well, fix it, God. And he was like, well, that's why I'm telling you. And so I came home from school one day, and I told my husband, Nathan, I said, so God told me to quit my job and start a ministry. And Nathan, just like everything else, was like, all right, well, let's go. What are we going to do? And so that was the start of it. I finished out that school year, and I started the ministry really in the spring of 2019, and I've been rolling ever since, just supporting foster families out in this area, doing what I can, anything that they need, and that's kind of how it started.
So yeah, I mean that's awesome what you guys got going on, and this is the Higher Calling Podcast, and we're trying to let Ellen tell stories about what she's got going on, and hopefully we can inspire some people out there to tell their stories and stumble upon some stories. Because I mean that's really courageous for what y'all doing, and God's a way maker, and He's just looking for people that are responding to the call. He doesn't look for the equipped.
And he doesn't look for people that will necessarily immediately say yes. And I know you told me that God told you for 2 years to do this podcast. And I have a friend that tells me all the time, I wish I was like you. You're always just yes, whatever God tells you to do. And I'm like, hold up. God told me for a solid year to become a foster parent. And I said no. So my yes is not always immediate, but I feel like God knows that. I feel like God knows it's going to take us a little time to get used to this big ask that He has of us. So your yes doesn't have to be immediate. It's going to be on God's time anyway.
Yeah.
But it just needs to be a yes.
Yeah, because that's like me. I mean, I'm like Jonah, you know what I mean? I was in the belly of the whale, and I'm trying to run away. And he's just like, are you going to listen or what, son? And I'm just like, yeah, Papa, I'm coming. I'm not qualified. He said, I'll qualify you. Don't worry about it. I was like, okay.
That's right. I'm not qualified either. I knew nothing about what I was doing when I quit my job to start the ministry. Zero. Knew absolutely. Like, I had no idea. So
Yeah,
He equips
because I
us.
could come up with all kind of excuses. I don't know people. I don't have anything. What makes me equipped? And he said, I just need you to be willing. Come on. And like you said, you don't got clothes at the house. You got to go to run to Walmart, and that's awesome. So do you got any funny stories about your journey so far?
So our most recent placement was a 3-year-old that came to us, and he came to us in January. We already had a beach trip planned for that May before he came to us. We had planned that a year in advance. So he's going to the beach with us. He's going to 3-year-old. And so I have all teenagers now at this point. So I'm ready to just relax on the beach and chill and enjoy my time.
Yeah.
3-year-olds don't do that. So we go to the beach.
They require a little bit more care.
Yes. But we get to the beach and, Nathan and the other 3 kids, they're hauling all the stuff. And I have the kids. So they're ahead of me. So I'm really try not to say his name, but he and I get on the beach, and we start to walk, and we get about 50 yards from the pier, and everybody else is way ahead of us. And he decides, I do not like saying, he starts screaming and losing his mind. People are looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I just pick him up. He will not stop screaming. He did not. It's something about the texture of the sand. He did not like it. We were at the beach for a week. Day 3. He still wouldn't touch the sand. He wore socks and shoes to the beach, and we put out mats, and he sat on the mats. And finally, one of the little girls with us was playing with him in the sand, and she's like, "Okay, I have to go rinse this out." And she runs to the water, and he gets up and runs behind her. And we're all like, do we say anything? He's like touching the sand. Does he realize he's touching the sand? And so we just didn't say anything. He was fine with it after that. If he had his socks and shoes on. So the kid rocked socks and shoes the whole week. But day 3, 4, he was finally okay with it. But I knew people were looking at me like, what is this woman doing to this kid? Because it was bad. It was so bad. And everybody else is way ahead of me, so they don't even know what's going on to even attempt to help me. And I'm just like, pick him up, and he's just like clinging to me. So
and you got a prisoner, huh?
Yeah. So
that's kind of the same way. Yeah, that's kind of the same way I am at the beach. I hate the sand too.
What? Well, my
wife. Yeah, that'll work. We'll hang out over there on the concrete. My wife, she loves the sand. Like, she digs her little feet in the sand. And I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. So, what brought about this vision for your life? Like, what did it develop from? I know that you said that, you were still teaching, and you got a foster kid in there and stuff like that. Like, how did this all eventually start?
So at our previous church, my husband and I were in charge of a missions team, and I went to a luncheon to see if I wanted this group of people to come speak at our church. And it was about foster care, and I had them come speak at our church so others could hear about it. Because, it wasn't for me. I didn't need to become a foster parent. I mean, I had 2 kids, life was perfect, and whatever. Wasn't for me. It was for everybody else in the church. And so they came and spoke at our church. And God started dropping those little, hey, you have space in your home. You could do this. And I seriously argued for a year. Denied it for a year. And then one Tuesday night, or one Monday night, actually, Nathan's like, so what do we have going on this week? I said, well, tomorrow night we have to go to a meeting in Covington. And he's like, why do we have to go to a meeting in Covington? I'm like, I signed us up for a foster class. And he was like, okay. So, I mean, just like everything else, he's just like, okay, let's go. So I signed us up, and we went, and we started the process. And got certified in 2016. And once you see the need of foster care, it's hard to look away.
Right.
I mean, especially when you know that you can do something to change it. And, I've had to walk through a lot of things in this process, and frustrations, and, people very, very often tell me, I've always wanted to do foster care, but I just can't because of X, whatever. And a lot of times they're saying those things. I don't know if it's to make me feel better or to make them feel better, but if you wanted to, you would. And if you could, you would. Now, not everybody's meant to be a foster parent, and I get that. Because it's hard. It's not an easy life. But everybody can do something to help the foster care system. Everybody can do something. Whether it be buying a pair of shoes for a kid, whether it be offering parents babysitting nights. Because let me tell you, when you have extra kids in your home, it's hard. There were some times when Nathan and I had not had a date night in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Because it's just hard. When you have extra multiple kids in your home, plus your kids, so there are so many things that people can do to make a huge impact on the foster care system that has nothing to do with having a child. And, that's what I want people to realize. I want people to realize that you do not have to agree to have a kid in your home. While it'd be fantastic if you did.
Mm-hmm.
There are things that you can do to make a difference in the life of a child.
Yeah, and they say it takes a village to raise a child, and it really is rough because, I didn't have a dad in my home. So it was just my mom raising us, and I just thank the Lord for my grandfather being a big part in our lives. And you've got people like I stayed together with my wife, and I was always in a home because I would never put my children through that. And then you have one of the things I noticed, and I think this is a big problem with society nowadays, is you have a lot of fatherless homes. So you have just a mother raising children, and whether the father's kind of in there sporadically or whatever it is, you have single parent homes. But just like you're doing, is they have children with no parents, and there's nobody to take care of them. Whether there's some type of death, where there's some type of addiction, where there's some type of abandonment, and just like your heart is looking out for those people, that's just, God's looking for the lost sheep, and you're looking out for the lost children, so you're an extension of what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and the home dynamic makes a huge difference. There are single parent foster homes, which are just as important as 2-parent foster homes, because there are some people who just have decided they don't want to get married or whatever, but they have something to offer to a child. So you can be a single person and still be a foster parent, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, but I will say that there's no way I could have been a single parent foster home, because Nathan's support in this is the only Nathan and my children, because there's just so much that comes along with it, and maybe I'm just not built for all of it, but
it's a lot easier with a pair. Yeah,
yes,
I'm sure it's a lot easier with
people who do it. And do it very well, and are very successful with it. And that is needed just as much. So, that's just one thing that people don't realize.
What's the approval process to go through like that, to actually get approved to become an accepted foster parent? Because I'm sure they're not going to drop kids off into your house.
Right. It's a long, we started the certification process in January, February of 2016. We did not get certified until August, September of that year. So that's how long it took. So you fill out paperwork upon paperwork. You have to go to classes. They have to do so many home visits. Now, a lot of it has changed since the pandemic, because they've kind of shifted how they did something. Classes moved to online, that kind of stuff. But it's a pretty long process. Background checks, can't even imagine. And there's just certain requirements for your home. If you have a pool, if you don't, things like that. So we actually didn't have handrails on our stairs. We had lived in our house at that point for 9-10 years, and it was just one of those things that Nathan never got around to, and our kids just don't walk on the edge, kind of thing. But to get certified, we had to put handrails up. Nathan, nice little weekend project.
That's right. The thing is, whenever it's your kids, it's like, you're only going to walk by that edge one time. You just got to fall over one time, and you'll be fine. You're not going to do it again. Don't let the social worker fall down there,
Right. Little things like that. So, just small things. They're like, you really never had a handrail? I'm like, no, it just kind of kept getting pushed
This
down
is
on the to-do list. And, you know,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, this is not a government building, ma'am. This is the country, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, you know, it
That's funny.
is what it is.
How helpful is the state and is it the state or the parish that everything's going through?
So it falls under the state, but your child is in a parish office. So we are considered the Covington region, which is Tangipahoa Parish, Washington Parish, St. Tammany
Okay.
Parish, St. Helena Parish. I think Livingston Parish falls in the Covington region. I think. But so wherever the child comes into care, that parish office is what they fall in. So, you know, we had some out of Washington Parish, we had some out of St. Tammany Parish, because honestly, when they're trying to find a bed for a home, they're just trying to find a bed for a kid. So, you know, they're calling until they get a yes. So if they have to move a kid out of parish, then that's what they have to do. Now, the downside of that is you have a child that's in, like, say, third, fourth grade or whatever, and they get moved out of parish. Well, what if the teacher at that school was the only person that, like, they had a connection, or they, you know, felt love? Well, now you're taking them from their family for whatever reason, and you're taking them from whatever security they felt at their school.
Sure.
So that's one of the downsides of not having enough homes, and them having to place a child in a different parish, because it disrupts their whole life. You know,
Sure.
so that's why we need more homes in every parish. That way, they can keep the kids as close to home. So, like, when you get a kid from another parish, then like, I would have to bring the two from Washington Parish to Bogalusa every week for their family visit. The most recent one we had was out of St. Tammany, so I would have to drive him to Covington every week for his visits. Now, you can, as a foster parent, if you work, say, you know, hey, I can't, I have to work, I can't bring him, and then the state will have to arrange that. But when I quit teaching, and continue to foster, I just would bring them, because it just visitation days are always a roller coaster of emotions. And so I didn't want the children to then have that visit, then have to sit with a worker in the office all day, maybe until the worker could bring them home or whatever. You know, so I always just felt it was better for the child if I brought them to the visit, we left the visit, we could kind of try and manage emotions a little bit more, kind of thing, because I was able to do that. And that's not always the case, but you know, that's what I was able to do. So the cases are managed by the parish, depending on where the child comes into care. But ultimately, the state is a state department.
Okay. So basically, the state covers the whole program, but the parish is kind of the play underneath the state. Yeah. Okay, right. That makes sense. Hey, and if you see me fiddling around over here, it's just I'm trying to take notes, trying to keep up with everything you're trying to say, because I don't know much about what you got going on. Not trying to be dismissive. Hey, so you said trying to find a bed for a kid, like, so that's like the child gets kind of brought out of a situation or something like that, something traumatic, something happens, and like they have to find a place for the child to stay for the night, or how does that work?
Yes. So when a child comes into care, now it can be for many reasons. Like, think about this: if you're driving across state and you get into a car accident, and you have a child with you, and you get put in the hospital, who's going to take care of that child? So sometimes they have to find temporary placements for things like that. Sometimes they have to find placements that they know are going to be longer when the child comes into care for neglect or whatever, or, you know, a parent gets arrested, that kind of thing. So when they come into care, the workers just start calling people. Now, their computer system, I don't know how it works, but I can tell them as a foster parent, I want this age range child.
Sure.
You know, this, whatever. But ultimately, they're going to call you because they are trying to find a place for a kid. Because I know during, I think it was Thanksgiving, they were frantically trying to find an emergency placement. And I think the child and a caseworker ended up having to stay in a hotel during Thanksgiving week because they could not find a bed, a home to put the kid in. Every day
Wow.
they were texting, do you have a bed? And sometimes houses are just full. I had a teenager in our house one time, and our house was actually full and kind of not closed, but on hold, because after we adopted Harry, our house was full. Our beds were all full. And so this worker, she was actually a manager, a little higher up than just the normal worker. She called me and she said, look, I know you don't have a bed. She said, but I would rather this teenager sleep on an air mattress in your living room than some of the other options that we have right now. She said, we're going to work to find her a permanent place, but can you just do this to get us through? And so she was on the air mattress in my living room for 3 weeks, I think, before they found her an actual house that had space for her. So
Wow.
sometimes they're desperate.
Wow. Okay. And I was just about to ask, like, how many kids come in and for how many days they sometimes stay, but I guess it's pretty unpredictable, huh?
It is. Every case is different. Like two of the little ones that we had, I don't know if you ever met them, but when they called me for them, they were like, there's an aunt in another state that wants them. They were like, it'll only be like a week or two if you can take, whatever. And I said, well, I can take one, but I can't take two toddlers. And so I called Nathan.
Right.
And he says, Ellen, we cannot split them up.
Right.
So we took them both.
So y'all pulled that playpen out.
So we took them both, and they were in our house for almost 9 months because it took the state that long. Because they were going to another state, and the states were doing their due diligence to make sure the relative in the other state was good, and it was going to be a great placement and that kind of thing. So, by the time they left us, they were calling us mama and daddy and whatever. But I will say that the relative they went to invited us to their adoption.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Sends me pictures. They are just thriving and living their best life. And to see that full circle, and for my kids to see that full circle of, what they came from, and, when she sends picture updates, I'll show the kids or whatever. And for them to know that we love them for those, 9 months or whatever, we helped them, when they came to us, they were kind of traumatized, and there were some things. Nathan couldn't even be in the room with some of them, and then in the end, Nathan was like their best buddy. Zeke was their best buddy. Just to watch my kids' relationships and their growth in this process has been just incredible.
And that's got to be great for your kids' hearts, just to see that joy and that peace of like seeing these kids, being so, I guess, traumatized, and then, seeing them get into a good spot.
Yeah. And it's funny because when we first decided to become foster parents, and we would tell people, we would have well-meaning adults say, why are you going to do this? Why are you going to expose your kids to this? So much that I quit telling people.
Yeah. Because they didn't understand your heart.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been hard. And my kids have gone through some things that aren't fair to them. But to just see their growth as individuals, and to see them open their hearts, knowing that it's going to break when this kid leaves us.
Yeah.
I can't even explain it.
Well, and the bad thing is, I talked with this about my buddy Landis on the other my last podcast I did. It's like whenever you close your heart off and you don't ever allow yourself to love or anything like that, you don't allow that joy and that peace to come out. But when you open your heart, you also run the risk of hurting it. But you allow your heart to love. So I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 in the whole situation.
After those two left us, I didn't go in their room for over a year. I couldn't
you missed them that
bring
much,
myself to go in there and clean out their room. And Nathan said one day, he said, I can't believe they haven't called us. And I said, oh, they've called us. I literally can't answer the phone because I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like,
Oh
you know,
my. Wow.
those kids, I did not want to adopt them. I didn't want them in my house forever, but it will gut you when they leave. Even
I bet.
though they're leaving to a great situation, it still takes a piece of your heart, and it's hard. It's really hard.
Oh, I bet.
But
And
it is what it is.
yeah, I mean, like I said, you got to open yourself up to love whenever, you're looking for that type of situation. What age
Yeah.
do y'all generally look for in the kids? Do y'all look for younger kids or
So
older kids?
it changed based on our life. So like when I was teaching, we required that they be school age because I was teaching. They needed to be able to go to school because finding daycare for younger ones is really hard. When I quit teaching, we were able to change it and take younger ones. But I will say that one of a lady that I know that owns a daycare, she was amazing. And always very helpful to me. And so they would call me for a placement, and so I could text her and say, "Hey, look, they're calling me for a 2-year-old little boy. Do you have space?" Or whatever. I don't know that she ever actually had space for me, but she always made space for me.
That's awesome.
So it just changed based on our life.
Yeah, and I mean it's cool because like you don't know how you're going to complete your mission, but as you go on your mission, the Lord sends people in your life that helps you along the way, and He never gives us more than we can handle. But even if we can't handle it, He puts somebody in our house alongside of us that can help us along the way.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's been an incredible journey.
Moving mountains, aren't you?
I'm trying to.
That's awesome. Hey, what about what does it cost like whenever a kid comes into your house? And like, is it just the gas or is it just the clothes? Does the state actually kind of help with any of that stuff, or?
So you get a monthly stipend from the state based on the child's age. Now, I can tell you, when I had 2 toddlers in this house, the monthly stipend did not cover the diapers, whatever. They do cover daycare, but you have to find a daycare that is a certain certification and that will take the rate, the state rate, and that will take the rate, the state rate. My friend hooked me up, but in Covington and stuff like that, I know a lot of foster parents have issues finding daycares that work. So then, like one child we had, I had to pay out of pocket for foster care because it was before she was certified as a whatever daycare. So I had to pay out of pocket. But that was something that I just had to do because I literally couldn't get anything done with a toddler in the house, 2 toddlers in the house or whatever, and so we just paid for it. So you do get a stipend, but if you're getting rich off of that stipend, I don't see how, because it does enough to help you, but you're not going to get rich off of the stipend. And there are certain little things, like as they get older, the state allows a certain amount of money for like back to school or sports and things like that, but sometimes you just have to pay it and then get reimbursed. So the ministry, through the ministry, I've been able to enroll kids in soccer. I've been able to sign kids up for like music lessons, because to me these kids need to be involved in things too, and so I've been able to pay for some of it, but sometimes when I reach out to organizations, they are so generous, and they will either say, "You know what? No, don't pay for this child. No, don't pay for this child. You got it covered," kind of thing. So that's been awesome too. Because I don't. It's hard to be a foster parent, but to be a foster parent on your own is even harder. So to be able to help foster parents with those little things is just a great way to help them not feel so burdened.
Yeah, because I'm sure that stuff could be overwhelming. Because I was just thinking about like medical expenses or something. Because I mean, sometimes
they do. They're covered under Medicaid. So because they're basically the state has custody of them.
Wards of the states.
Yes. So anything most of that falls under the state. But there are jumps, hoops you have to jump through, and you may have a kid in your home and not have their social security number for months, and so then, how do you take them to the doctor? How do you do this? You learn ways and you figure it out, but sometimes it's just a little extra that you have to do.
It sounds like a lot extra, but I mean, I'm sure it could be very rewarding to watch kids grow like that. Because I mean, your heart is for kids. Like, ever since I held my baby Kimberly, the first time, and like I just held her, it's like you go from, totally selfish to totally unselfish, and like to open your house up to allow more and more kids to come in, that's got to be awesome. So
it is. It has been.
Like as far as kids reacting whenever they come into the home, has there ever been any ones that came into the home and they like totally freaked out?
No,
or they were really hard to deal with, or what?
Well, our first placement was really hard to deal with, and Zeke kind of took the brunt of that because he shared a room. And we stuck it out for like 2 months. We tried and tried, but that child, I think you met this child actually. So I think if you remember him come to church with us. But anyway,
I think so.
He basically at some point decided he did not want to be in our home. So he was going to do whatever he could do to get out of our home. And we were hurt.
So he started acting out.
We felt like failures, and then we started questioning, did we completely miss the ball and hear God roll and hear God roll? Why would God put that in our house, kind of thing? And so we had him removed from our house, and took a few months, and my kids were kind of traumatized, but we told them from the beginning, you guys are our priority. So as soon as we had him removed, we took a few months, and then we were really questioning. Were we supposed to do this? And so, then we got an email about a child that needed to be moved from one home to another. And did we want to take it? And Nathan and I talked about it, and we just felt like it was a good fit. And so when we told the kids, they both broke down because they thought it was going to be like the first one. And we told them, we said, we are not going to let that one child stop us from whatever it is that God has called us to do. We don't know what God has in this for us, but God called us to do this, and we are standing firm in that. So we're going to say yes, and it's going to be okay. And so that placement was Harry. And we ended up adopting Harry a couple of years later. But when he came into our house, he mended all of our hearts and it would have been very, very easy after that first placement for us to say, we're done, we're not doing this anymore, it's not worth it, it's not worth the stress, it's not worth the hassle, but probably Nathan more than me was like, no, we're doing this. God asked us to do this and told us to do this for a reason, and we're doing it. And we're not quitting. So I can see why some foster families would get into it and then quit, because it can be hard. It can be really hard, and it can test your family and your marriage.
Anything worth doing is going to be a struggle, because little risk, little reward. Big risk, big reward. And like you said, you open your heart up for that first one, and you're like, it's going to be like this and we're done. And just like, no, God's like, I'm not done yet. I'm not done. That's cool. What's the biggest reward you've seen so far out of the ministry that y'all doing? Is it y'all's, or is it something you've seen in somebody else's ministry, or they're fostering, or what?
So
is it Harry?
Well, I mean, that's been great, but in the ministry, I had a caseworker reach out with a kid that was aging out of the system. He had been in the system for years. Nobody wanted to adopt him. He was going to turn 18 and go to college. And so she was looking for like a used laptop for him for college. And so I was able to post on my ministry page, hey, this is the situation. This is a local kid. We need to stand up and be his family. And so I raised so much money so fast for that kid that I had to text the caseworker and say, hey, what else does he need for college? And she said, well, he could use a bike because he's going to Hammond, and so he'll be able to get around Hammond with a bike. And so I said, okay. So I was able to buy him a laptop, a bike, and accessories and stuff like that. And I met him in a parking lot. And I gave him the stuff, and he was just blown away and so emotional. And I told him, I said, look, I know your life is not what you thought it would be, and I know it's not what you probably want it to be. I said, but I didn't pay a dime for any of this. This is when I told your community what you needed. So you have people that want you to succeed and want you to do well at life. So even if you feel like you're alone, you are not alone. And you have people cheering. And he stopped and he said, can I hug you? And I was like, yeah. And I literally don't know how long he stood there and hugged me in that Winn-Dixie parking lot. But I didn't let go till he let go. And we just stood there. And I don't know where that kid is. I don't know what he's done with his life, but I know that day he felt that by his community.
Yeah.
And
both y'all's cups were filled that day, huh?
That was a huge one. I'm always randomly in parking lots with people. So I tell people probably think I'm like healing because I meet people in random parking lots all the time. But to me, that for a teenage boy to stop and he had never met me, and he said, "Can I hug you?" That was a win.
Yeah, absolutely. That filled your cup right there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all need that sometimes. And we kind of took a boy in. My wife was she was substitute teaching over there at Roseland Elementary, and they had some underprivileged kids come in, and we had a kid come in from Roseland, and when he came into our house, he didn't want anything to do with us, and he was 13, and they push him through, and like they don't even worry about it. Teaching them how to read anymore. They'll just kind of push him through the system. And he's been in our lives, and he's 21 years old now, so he's been in our life for 8 years, and he's just such a good boy, and he's just been in such a terrible spot, and it's just cool to see him develop, and see their hearts get filled up by just showing them love, and they just they don't know it, so that's so awesome whenever you can open your heart to people. What's your greatest learning experience through all of this so far?
Ooh. I don't know if you want me to be honest about this one, but
I do. Well, you're trying to sell this thing. You know what I mean? You're trying to get people on this journey with you. So what have you learned?
Sometimes you can't just speak to the pastors of a church because they will shut the door in your face. And that was the hardest lesson to learn, and the most heartbreaking lesson to learn, because I got told no a lot in the beginning. No to speaking, no to asking if your church would do a drive for me. I don't know. Maybe their hearts haven't been open to this. I don't know. But it would have been very easy for me to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing this ministry thing because nobody obviously wants to partner or whatever.
Nobody wants to get on board.
I got told to know a lot in that first year, and Nathan at dinner one night said, until pastors' hearts are changed, you're not going to make a difference. And he wasn't meaning that I was never going to make a difference. He was just meaning that, their hearts have to be changed and be open to it. Now, I don't know, maybe they were telling me no because they thought I was going to ask them for money, whatever. And sometimes maybe I should have just led with, I don't want money. I want your church to stand up and be the church. I want your church to stand up and take care of the widowed and the orphan. I want your church to be a part of this journey. So that was the hardest thing, was being told no by people that should have been screaming yes.
Right.
I haven't seen it yet, but there's that new movie out. I can't remember the name of it. Something Foxtrot, whatever. But it's about a church that I think every person in their family, or every family in their church became foster parents, and completely changed the foster care system in their community. But anyway, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't really know. But I've heard it's amazing.
I bet.
But I just the number of people that told me no that I felt like should have at least listened to me, at least call me back, was enough to make me want to quit. But I'm kind of hard-headed, and I don't want to admit defeat and failure, so I just kept plugging away. And then I finally realized, you know what? I'm gonna start talking to the women because women and kids. Hello.
That's where the love's at.
So, you know, the most wonderful but God knew, because God placed so many people along my path, you know, when I was feeling the most down and the most like, I give up. This random person calls me. I say random, but it was not random. But she wanted to have lunch, and she at the time worked for Methodist foster care, but we had lunch, and she literally kept me going, and she would call me even during the pandemic. She would call me every week, just checking on me, and I felt not alone in the ministry. Because my ministry, it's just me. I don't have a team of people. I don't have a staff. You know, I don't even take a paycheck from the ministry because that's not what God told me to do. So anything I do for the ministry is just for the ministry. I found other ways to make money, but she made me feel not alone. And it's easy to feel alone in ministry. And so you have to find your people, and you have to find, you know, a support group kind of thing. And it took me a while to find that. But now I know there are pastors locally that I can call. The pastor at First Baptist in Kentwood. Amazing. I had never met that man in my life. He knew nothing about me. But when I started the ministry, I made a post that I needed a space to put stuff that people had donated. And he, since the beginning, that church has allowed me to use a room in their church. I have a key to their church. I come and go as I please.
Wonderful.
Which is random times of the day, because I never know when I get calls. But if I'm there during the day and he's there, he comes in and he, do you need anything from us? What can we do to help you? And I don't go to church there. But First Baptist in Kentwood has done so much for this ministry. I don't even know where it would be without them. You know, so there are pastors that their hearts are open to it, and so I don't want to paint everybody in a bad light or whatever. But you know, it was a growing phase that I had to get through, and I had to hear those. It was a growing phase that I had to get through, and had to hear those. But it still was not very fun.
Yeah.
But it still was not very
fun. You know, and I say this a lot or whatever. It's like, you know, the Lord didn't say that no trouble will come. He said, when trouble comes, he said he'll be there with us. You know, so we got to expect, you know, a lot of people, you know, they ask people to do an altar call, like, oh, if you want a good life and you never want to have bills again and you just want to walk on water, come to the Lord. And it's like, no, that's not what he says. It says, if you want to be saved and you want to walk with me, come over here. It's going to be a rocky road, but I'm going to be here with you through it all. And sometimes our help doesn't come from where we think it's going to come from. It comes from unforeseen circumstances.
Yes. And it's incredible, because sometimes I'll get a random donation and somebody will text me and say, hey, I don't know why, but I just felt like I was supposed to donate $300 to you. I'm like, okay. And then literally that day, somebody was like, I really need this wagon thing, because I take in kids that have special needs. They're too big for strollers, but whatever. And I'm like, I literally just got donated that exact amount of money. And I'm like, literally the exact amount of money. It's so crazy how many times things like that have happened that I'm just like, okay, God, I see you.
You see me. You see me.
Yeah.
It's cool when you know that he sees you and he heard you. Yeah. And that's a feeling. You're like, all right, I see you, baby. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what's your 3 to 5 year plan with this thing? Where do you expect the ministry to be, or where would you like to hope for it to be in 3 to 5 years?
Oh goodness! So this is something that I've not struggled with, but there are other foster care ministries like mine that have grown tremendously, and they have multiple volunteers there daily, and they have whatever. And it was very easy for me to get caught up in that, like, oh, I'm not doing what they're doing, or I'm not growing like they're growing. And then I came to realize I live where I live for a reason, in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Where people are forgotten. And so I'm okay with staying this small and how I am, because even though I'm small, I'm able to help a lot. And if I strive to be like those other ministries, then I'm not really going to be where God told me to be, because there's not a huge need for a large place, a large staff, or large whatever out here. And I've, part of my flesh has had to get used to that, because I don't want to people to look at me and say, "Oh, well, you haven't really grown any." Okay, well, in the first year of ministry, I helped one kid at Christmas. Last year, I helped 53 kids.
That's awesome.
So I'm doing a lot. I just don't have this grand facade, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't need the jet yet.
Right. And I don't know that I ever will. I don't know that I ever will out here, but
maybe in 5 years, whenever Jesse Duplantis gets a new jet, he'll donate the next one to y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just in case y'all got to go to the Philippines.
Yeah, I had, it took a lot for me to come and be okay with, I'm staying the size that I am, because one, it's what I can handle. Because I have a life too. I have kids that I manage, and jobs. I have like 10 jobs that I manage, and if it were to grow bigger, could I still manage that and not pay people? And I don't think so, and that's never what God told me to do with this ministry. So, the ministries that have grown, that are like mine, are in Covington and Denham, and there's a huge need, and they have tons of traffic through their locations every day, and they are doing amazing things. But that's not what we need out here. And so, I'm just in the middle of nowhere, but a lot of times I just end up going to the ministry room, grabbing the clothes, shoes, baby stuff that people need, and I bring it to them, because they're an hour away and they can't stop and drive. My kids every day, they're like, "So what'd you do today?" Because they never know. I can literally tell them that morning, "Oh, I have nothing going on today. I'm staying home all day, whatever." And then by the time they get home from school, I've gone to Bogalusa, to Covington, to Hammond, to whatever, delivering or picking up stuff. And I'm like, that was not my plan. Tomorrow I'm going to Hammond, because I got a call today for 2 teen girls that came into care and they need clothes. Well, guess what? I have a hair appointment in Hammond tomorrow. Is that coincidence? I think not. So I'm going to Hammond and delivering them like stuff to take them shopping, to get clothes and stuff that they need for school and everything. And it's amazing. It is just amazing, the things that God has used me logistically to do that I would have never thought to do. So
yeah, that's so amazing. What do you it sound like you stay pretty busy, whatever. What do you do to kind of relax, or hobby wise, or you do to actually unwind? Does it happen?
I don't know. We chase our kids with sports, but we do go camping, and I read, but I don't have a ton of hobbies. I'm just constantly busy is my hobby, I think.
Yeah, I got you. Well, so, y'all just got to take a little trip away, huh?
Yeah, Nathan and I went to Mexico.
Oh, that's cool. I seen y'all's little pictures on the Book of Faces, and so I seen y'all out there. I was like, look, they got a weekend away,
I know. Well, we were there to celebrate our friend's 50th birthday. He canceled because of the hurricane, so he didn't even go. But we survived Hurricane Beryl in Cancun. It wasn't bad. We had great days. Wow. It was fantastic. It was good.
Weather was good?
It was, except for 10 hours. 10 hours. It was good, other than that.
Yeah, all good, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think is one of the big problems that is holding people back in Louisiana, the South?
In general?
Or sure. like what is it?
Drugs.
Mindset, poverty, drugs. Yeah.
Drugs and a poverty mindset. We have
Yeah.
dealt with, most of the kids that have come into our care, it had a lot to do with drugs, which has been an interesting conversation opener with our children, because I tell them all the time, their parents didn't plan this. They were not thinking that this choice is going to lead to me losing my kids, me losing my whatever, kind of thing.
Sure.
That's not where it started. It started with a simple choice of I'm going to try this, whatever, and just snowball. Their intention was not to lose their kids. And so we have to be compassionate about that. We have to be understanding about that. And we also have to be open about that. We can't say that we want solutions to the drug epidemic, but also not be willing to invite those solutions. The new recovery center just opened in A&E, Akron Recovery Center, which is a 60-bed facility. 40 beds for men, 40 beds for men, 20 beds for women, and it's a rehab. And it would have been very easy for the A&E community to say, no, we don't want you to open here. Right?
Sure.
I mean, they could have, with permitting or whatever, they could have very easily said that. But we have to be willing to have those places if we want people to come out of the things that they're in. And we have to provide the solutions. And if we're not going to provide the solutions, then we can't be upset with the problem.
No.
So until we, I don't know how we get a handle on this drug situation, but so many lives are wrecked by it. And homes are wrecked by it. Other than having conversations, I just hope and pray that the conversations with my children have made them realize that, one choice can just bring you to these places that you never imagined. And, to understand.
Absolutely. And I just praise God that the territorial demons that tormented me and caught hold of me on my journey, they released me, and I'm able to get freedom. And I've messed up during my lifetime, and I just praise God that He brought me out of it. I'm not addicted, I'm not dead, I'm not locked up, and there's freedom for those people out there, because I've seen them walking around, and I run into them all the time. And my son, I just pray for him all the time, and my daughter, because I just hope that that stuff doesn't grab a hold of him. And I've had many conversations with him, and I was like, dude, watch out the roads that you go down now, because some of those roads you can't ever come back off of. There's some people try stuff and it grabs a hold of them and never lets loose of them.
Yeah, I've really felt that way a lot, because I've seen people that I grew up with passed away, and it's from drugs, it's from that lifestyle. And somebody on the Book of Face was bashing somebody about it's about time, whatever. And I'm like, that was not their end goal. That is not what they envisioned for their life. And it just grabs. And I said, and I didn't say it, but I was thinking with some of the people's comments, I'm like, I know you, and I know you made some of those same choices.
Yeah.
It has a different hold on different people. And people have to realize that, and have to realize that, some people, it just grabs hold to them harder.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, just think how many people have gone to a wedding reception and had one or two beers or a couple of drinks and got in a vehicle and drove home, and they made it home without hitting somebody, but how many of them didn't? Or just like people going to high school prom and drinking and ended up in a wreck, because you've seen the cars flipped up and side down in front of the school saying, don't drink and drive. And I know you remember this coming up. They had the DARE initiative, and what was it? The commercial says nobody ever wants to be a junkie says they want to be a junkie when they grow up, And
we provide solutions,
sure.
This is you would think it's way off the topic of foster care, but it's not, because so many kids in care are a direct result of someone else's choices. A misconception of foster care is that they're bad kids that have done bad things, and it's not the truth at all. The truth is an adult made a choice, and it has affected the child. And a lot of them are just, in the system because of that. And we have to want reunification. We have to want the parents to do better, to get better. And, you know, I've seen that. I've seen with our cases, kids into care and their parents get better, do better, and get their children back. And we have to cheer those people on, and we have to encourage them, and we have to keep working to help them succeed, because we don't want them to fail. I mean, because who wants somebody else to fail?
No.
We want them to stay clean, you know, so
Well,
it's all related. It's all related.
well, and I'm sure you see this a lot or whatever. What's the cycle look like if the parent fails and the child has to grow up saying, look, my dad was a failure, my mom was a failure, or the child can look at their parents get their life together. Hey, look, my mom or my dad saw what they were doing and they fixed it.
Right.
So if they can do it, I know I can stay right.
Yeah.
You know, how powerful is that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I agree.
Hey, is there the media and the way the government does everything now? It's just kind of like they push the single parent initiative and they're trying to portray the masculine and feminine roles, you know, as kind of, you know, different, at making men seem like women and women seem like men. Do y'all ever see any of that stuff in some of the kids that come around?
We haven't. I know one time they were looking for a placement, a home for placement, and I know they mentioned the child was transgender and things like that. We haven't ever had any issues or any things like that come up with us. You know, we just haven't dealt with that, and maybe that's because of where we live too. You know, maybe that would be more,
bigger city,
happen more often in like New Orleans or whatever. But we have not dealt with any of that.
Okay. Yeah, I know that's a lot of stuff with the state right now. What's your greatest sense of accomplishment through all of this stuff so far?
That I'm still going. that I didn't quit. No, I mean just that I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I know God called me to do. I'm doing it even though I did not feel equipped, and I did not feel qualified, and I did not feel like I should have been the one to do it. It has been by faith and by His guidance that I've been able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished, and that I've met the people that I've met, and that, you know, even if I've helped one family, then I'm happy with that, because I know what it felt like to feel alone as a foster parent. And so, you know, tell them all the time, you're not alone. Call me about anything, you know, even if you just need to vent, because sometimes as a foster parent, talking to my friends that aren't foster parents, it feels like they want to listen and they want to hear you, but they don't really know or understand as much as they try to be helpful. Sometimes it's helpful to have somebody that knows and has experienced it and knows the heartache and knows the anger and knows the frustration. So to just be that ear for people, you know, has been great. You know, so I'm just, it's just been an incredible journey. I could probably talk to you for like 5 hours about it, but you know.
I bet it sounds like you're super excited about it. So you're the person that keeps other people's cups full. Who keeps your cup full whenever you're kind of, you know, feeling angst and you're kind of maybe down a little bit? Who do you call on? Who influences you?
So, I mean, I have two great friends that, you know, Dad told me one time, a long time ago, if you can count your friends on one hand, you're very lucky. And as a teenager, I thought, well, that's stupid. Like, you don't know what he's talking about.
I've got 100 friends.
Yeah. And you know, as you get older, you realize that's so true. And so
Yes.
friends that we actually went to Mexico with, you know, we joke all the time. We like to keep our circle small. And, you know, we're welcome to other people, and other people hang out with us and whatever.
Sure.
But I know that I can call them. I know that they will be there. I know that when I feel like junk, I can tell them. I just don't, you know, feel very good or whatever. So having people that know me, know, hey, Ellen just doesn't want to talk right now because that's how she gets. She just gets quiet and she don't want to talk.
she'll start talking in a she don't want to talk.
day or
She'll
two,
start
and
talking
then she'll
in
be good to
a
go. You
day
know,
or two,
so
and then she'll be good to go. You know, so
yeah, so I just have a close knit
so I
group
just
of
have
friends.
a
It's our
close knit
camping
group of
crew, and
friends. It's our
we
camping
camp
crew.
together. We travel
We camp
together.
together. We
Our
travel
kids
together.
are, you know,
Our
together
kids
in
are,
school.
you know, together in
I'm
school.
really lucky
So
to.
I'm really lucky.
That's cool. That's very cool. So, sounds like you found your higher calling. What would you say to people that are struggling to find their higher calling?
Just ask and listen. Even if it's something that you feel like, oh, I'm not qualified for that. When I was teaching, I told my students, don't get stuck in the checklist of life. High school check, college check, married check, babies check. Don't get stuck in that because you think that's what's next on your checklist. I mean, I've changed careers multiple times now. You know, if God tells you to do something, just do it. You know, when I told my students I was quitting to start the ministry, one of my boys seniors was like, wait, Miss Owens, so you're telling me you're quitting your job that you get paid for to start a job that you're not going to get paid for? And I was like, yeah. He was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, well, yeah, it probably is, but God told me to do it, and I'm doing it, you know. So God's going to ask you to do something big, and it's probably going to be hard, and it's probably going to take you a year or two to say yes, and God realizes that, and He's okay with that. But it's the ultimate saying yes that matters. And after you say yes, He will start to put people in your life, open doors, plant little things that you may not realize are there. And if He has called you to it, it's going to be fine. You may question it along the way, and you may say, I'm losing my mind, and I heard wrong. But if you stick with it, you'll realize that, this is what He needed me to do. And His ask may not be huge. It may not be a big thing. It may be something as small as, hey, call this foster parent and say, I want to buy this kid a shoe. Say yes. And then your next yes will be something a little different. And it's just being willing to listen, and the things that tug on your heart and the things that you're passionate about, that's where you're going to make a difference. Because if you're not passionate about it, then it's just going to be trudging through the mud, you know. But if it's what you're meant to do, you'll know, and you'll do it.
Yeah. And He's going to walk along with you, and He's going to build your faith and send people along to help you on your journey.
That's right. I mean, when I saw you started a podcast, I'm like, oh my God, that is so. Because like, you're one of those people when you see, like, if I see you, I'm instantly going to smile, and I'm instantly going to feel joy, because that's just what you bring out of people. And
Thank you.
You're fun to talk to, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is going places. Chad's going to do great. So
thank you. And somebody told me that one time, and they said, Chad, you got a weird way of talking to people and making them feel like they're the most interesting person in the room. And I was like, really? And they were like, thank you. And I didn't know I do. I like to make people laugh, and I like to laugh, and I like to hear stories. And if I can do that and talk to cool people like you and get you to tell your story, maybe somebody will find it interesting.
Maybe one person will. And hey, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta worry about that one.
Well, and you know what the one person that was telling me to do this podcast was?
Who?
So
yeah,
the Lord.
He usually knows what he's talking about. He
usually knows. And look, He sends people along the journey like you to come talk to me on my podcast. So
that's right.
So shout out to you. That's it for Ellen. I appreciate you coming on the cast and helping me out. Tell people how to find you, support you on your journey, and get involved with what you got going on.
Okay, so you can visit the website at movingmountainsla.com, or you can email me, movingmountainsla@gmail.com. I also have a Facebook page. That's where I post like immediate needs. If people need a stroller or a bed, and you might have one, that's where I will post that. So it's all on the web, on Facebook website.
Awesome. Well, that's it. Higher Calling Podcast number 11. Ellen came on here and told her story about how she's found her higher calling. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you find your higher calling by hearing stories like this. Like and subscribe. Check it out. Thanks, Ellen.
You're welcome.